Welcome to BnB Financially Free. I'm Chantel Dwayne, and I am here with co-host Peter Hu, and we could not be more excited about the launch of this podcast. It has been long awaited, and we have basically just improved our podcast room until we had no excuse but to do the podcast. So today we just wanted to talk to you a little bit more about who we are and how we got started in real estate investing and where we're at in our journey in financial freedom, and tell you what you can expect from this podcast. So Peter, what could people expect from BnB Financially Free?
So we are extremely excited about this podcast. Our first episodes have been kind of packed with value. Our goals for the podcast are that we want to give all of our listeners and all of the people watching just like as much value as possible for years to come. And I think our first 6 to 10 episodes have kind of met that goal. We have everything from just everyday people who are have gone from house hacking all the way to scaling their Airbnb business to 6 or 7 properties. We've got experts in the field from AirDNA, from Rabu, just tax professionals who are going to kind of blow your mind on the tax benefits of owning an STR or multiple STRs. And all the way down to just people that are just getting started, who have inspiring stories, who are self-managing their properties. And, there's just tons of tips and tricks to become a better STR host. We're really excited.
I couldn't agree more. I know that you and I have talked a lot about not wanting to be just another boring real estate podcast and wanting this to be very personable and wanting it to be very transparent with how people are scaling their portfolio. And so we're hoping to be able to bring that and also just bring unique stories. So we'll have people that are doing special things, whether that's owning a wedding venue or glamping. And I'm really excited because there's really no one way to do real estate. So with that being said, Peter, I am just so grateful to be doing this with you and running the business that we are. I would love to talk about who you are and how you got started into short-term rentals. You're a broker owner, you're an investor, you're the person who taught me everything I know. Tell me about how you got here.
So my story is kind of a sort of a unique one. I've only been in real estate for, I think 11 years now. So I started back in 2000.
Feels like a long time.
Yeah, I guess it is a long time. You're always saying that I'm much, much older than you. And it's really not that big of an age gap. But we'll go into that later. And so I guess I started my real estate career in 2012. My then girlfriend, now wife, bought our first townhome in 2012. For $236,000. It's probably worth somewhere in the sevens, $700,000 at this point, if we had kept it for this long. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started. Just bought my first townhome from this pretty incompetent agent, which was, I guess, a blessing in disguise, because then I decided to, during my W-2 period, I decided to get my real estate license and do this real estate thing for real, partly because that agent was so bad.
Love that.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great investment then. And I mean, honestly, almost all of my real estate purchases have been blessings. I would say that that my real estate career got started, mostly because of my wife. We were both working W-2s at that time, and she just kind of kept dragging me to these self-improvement, personal development seminars. Tony Robbins was somebody that really changed my life. But at the time I was why am I going to this 4-day seminar? He's going to keep me until midnight, talking to me about this stuff. And little did I know, she is the reason why, I have this business, why I've become an investor, why, I strive for financial freedom every day. And because, those seminars and she kind of helped me realize that my passion is to start businesses, help others start their businesses and to kind of get out from under the rat race. Mm-hmm. So I guess since 2015, which is actually when we sold that first townhome. We made a little over 100K on that particular investment. We didn't really do anything to it. Like we just lived there. We did house hack it for like 3 years, but really we didn't do any updates or anything. And, appreciation, we just got pretty lucky and made over 100K. And I'm embarrassed to say that was more money than I had made in my 3 years working 40 hours a week at my W-2 job. I'm not even going to say what it was. It's not important. But that sale kind of made me realize that, hey, I'm going to quit my W-2 and I'm never going to go back. Since then, I've done like 20 or so flips. I've done long-term rental. I've done a little bit of wholesaling. But nothing else is really compared to what we've been doing since 2018, which is, short-term rental investing. Mm-hmm. And I realized shortly after I met you that what we should be doing is buying and holding and, making sure that these deals cash flow and that they're really great long-term income generators. Mm-hmm. So, my portfolio is I've sold everything else, and my portfolio now really strictly is, consists of short-term rentals and a commercial asset that you and I both own. Mm-hmm. That's been my 10-year journey. It feels like not too long, but I guess it has been like a decade already. But yeah, I love what I do, and I love helping people find short-term rentals as well. Yeah.
Your portfolio now is probably about 5 million in short-term rentals.
Yeah. I'd say that over the past few years, I've built it to, it's worth around 5 million.
That's awesome. And it's been really since I would say, when was your first short-term rental? Was it 2019?
I actually bought my first short-term rental in 2020.
So it's only been 3 years.
Yeah. So it's been a pretty fast scale. You just kind of see something that's going to work and you scale it. So mm-hmm. I'm pretty lucky. Mm-hmm. My life has been, really enriched by real estate investing. And, right after I met Chantal, things really took off. We had a really good partnership. She was basically the best salesperson that I'd ever met. She taught me a whole bunch about sales. I was not the best salesperson then. I feel like I'm much better now because of what she's taught me. Chantal, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into investing and, how we became, a team?
I appreciate you saying that. So my background was medical sales. And the whole reason that I got good at sales was because I was given a script pad. I was 100% commission and told, go and sell this to doctors and we will give you X amount of dollars per script that you get. And while I was doing that, at the time I was living in South Florida, and I just felt like my soul was slowly dying, from each office that I would just show up to unannounced. And so while I was going from doctor's offices to doctor's offices, I was having to get pumped up. And so I started turning to sales education, which I turned to people like Grant Cardone. And so while I was listening to sales education to become good at my job, I basically found out that all of those guys were investing in real estate. So all of them had a plan for their earned income, and all of them had a plan for their passive income. And most of them at the points in their careers were really passive income focused. And so I became obsessed with discovering how I could stop showing up to doctors' offices unannounced and how I could get into real estate investing. Then my husband and I ended up moving out to Denver, which is where I met you. Mm-hmm. And actually the funniest thing is I was hired by Peter originally, and I'll never forget, I was at an interview to become a acquisition specialist for a flipping company. And the one question I remember from that interview was, Peter was like, so I understand that you're in sales. And I was like, yes. And he was like, well, are you any good at it? And I was like, yes, I think I am really good at it. And so from that point, you and I tried every real estate investment strategy from wholesaling to flipping to long-term rentals out of state. And then we decided to go off on our own and start Good Neighbor Realty, which is our brokerage. And we've helped to date hundreds of people purchase short-term rentals here in Colorado. And all of that really stemmed from I kind of accidentally stumbled upon short-term rental when I bought my first house that you kind of bullied me into buying.
Right. And how has that, turned out for you?
It's been really good. So 2 things that Peter bullied me into doing. One was getting my real estate license and one was buying my first house. And I'm really grateful for both of those things. So my husband and I in 2017 bought a property with a separate in-law basement. And we were like, we're from Florida. And so we were like, we cannot believe that basement apartments exist and you could just rent it out to someone. And we had decided that we were going to rent it to a close friend of ours. And then that ended up falling through. And so on a whim, we were like, well, we want our friends and family to be able to visit us. Let's just try Airbnb. And so my husband and I in 2017 just like didn't know anybody, put a little basement unit on Airbnb, and then it was making like 3 times more than what we were projecting from a long-term rental standpoint. And so after that, we were absolutely hooked. We ended up building a carriage home on that property. We ended up renovating the unit that we were living in, and now it's a 3-unit property that does about $140,000 a year. And because of the purchase price being $440,000, we clear about $80,000 in passive income from that. Mm-hmm. And so after that, we just scaled as quickly as we could. We probably moved out of that in 2019, and then we ended up buying a new primary, moved out, use that as a full-time short-term rental now, and then bought 2 luxury homes in the mountains, just from being able to save due to the high amount of cash flow that you can earn in short-term rentals. So our most recent investments have been a lot different. They're really high-end mountain properties that are grossing anywhere from $180,000 to $200,000 in revenue. And my husband and I probably clear about $200,000 annually in net income just from our short-term rental portfolio.
Yeah, that is absolutely amazing. I think my passive income number is slightly less than that, somewhere around like 120 to 150, but it's certainly like extremely, we're just extremely lucky to have that income stream in order to kind of like grow our businesses without putting any of our families, personal lives in jeopardy. So it's really lucky for us to be able to like reinvest in our businesses, in our clients.
I love that. And it's so true because so many times people are like, well, isn't investing in real estate risky? And, sure, like at some point, like every investment decision has a level of risk. But for you and I being business owners, short-term rentals are kind of like our safety blankets. Like mm-hmm. They are very stable and very consistent. And so our goal for this podcast is just to talk about how we scaled our portfolios, what we're learning in real time, and bring on other people that are doing the same and doing things that are a lot different than us, to help you on your journey to financial freedom. So thanks so much for tuning in.
Thanks so much.